My name is Carol, and I'm here with Tracy, who's behind the camera at Three Crafty Ladies, to demonstrate the technique we used on our kit Seize the Day. The technique is using a moldable foam stamp that you heat and then you can press images into it. We're going to demonstrate how to use various objects to create the background fabric to this kit, the sky, the sand, and the water. So stay with us and get ready to seize the day. Hi, welcome back. Let's get started on our kit. When you got the kit for Seize the Day, I'm sure you were looking at all the curious little objects in there, the bow tie pasta, the raffia, and the sandpaper, and wondering what's going to be what with this. These are the objects you're going to be using to impress onto your foam stamp to make the background fabric to the kit. And the first thing you want to do to our kit, you want to set up your work area. The first thing you need is a padded surface, so I have a towel here, and that's just to give a little bit of a little softness when you press your foam stamp onto your fabric. You're going to get a nice imprint. Next, and then you want some parchment paper, and parchment paper you can get at any grocery store, and it will protect your surface because you're going to be stamping the paint onto the fabric, which will seep through. You also want to get a little tub of water, a paper plate, and of course you want your foam brush, you need a heating gun, and your paint, and your foam stamp. And the first thing I've done is I've set up my bow tie pasta here because that's the first thing I'm going to be using to do our sky. So I am going to heat the foam stamp. I'm going to use my foam stamp, which has been used dozens and dozens and dozens of times, as you can probably tell. It is a really great project because you can just keep reusing it. It will change shape and get little stains on it, but that's fine. It won't affect the quality of your stamp. So I'm going to heat the stamp, and when you heat it, you do not want to put the heating gun too close to the stamp because you can damage it, you can melt it. So I will do this. You want to do it about 15 seconds. Move it around, don't hold it in one place. Turn it off, and then press it into your bow tie pasta. Give an even press. Okay, and as you can see the outline of the bow tie pasta on the stamp. Take your foam brush and you just dip it into a little bit of water just to help the paint go on smoother on the stamp. Okay, and you want to just lightly paint your stamp. You're going to push it onto the fabric and then immediately overlap slightly and push it again. Okay. Do another row. Lightly. Overlap slightly. Push and go right underneath immediately and push again. Now when you have 4 impressions, then take your stamp and kind of blur the lines in between the 4 imprints and then do 2 more at the very bottom. There'll be very little paint at this point, but you will get little flecks of paint, and this gives your sky, it'll give it dimension. It'll look like you're looking in the distance. So you will continue all the way across until your fabric is completed. And as you can see, this is what it should look like. Okay. You want to rinse off your stamp. I just have a little paper towel here. Just get the blue paint off. Pat it dry. Okay. Clean my brush. And now I am going to do the water. We're going to be demoing the thread painting that is done on the child for your Seize the Day kit. In your kit, there was a piece of muslin and craft fuse fusible interfacing, and those are the two things you're going to be using along with the thread that was included in your kit. You want to take your muslin and you want to lay it on top of the diagram that's in your pattern of the child, and with a fine tip marker trace all the way around the diagram, put in any extra lines or shapes that are there. Then you want to iron your craft fuse interfacing to the back, and then you should end up, here's your craft fuse and here's the muslin. Now what I did to help me keep straight what thread to use where, because we want to emphasize the sun on one side of him and then the shading on the other, and again it gives it dimension. I just took some colored pencils and I colored two different colors, one that's going to have the light colored thread and one that's going to have the dark colored thread. And that just is an aid to help me remember where I am. You get thread painting and sometimes you lose your place as far as what thread you're supposed to be using. When you thread paint, what you want to do is have your machine set on the darning mode. Some of your older machines will have a darning feature and a darning foot that you can use that for thread painting. You want to loosen your thread tension. I have mine set on about 3.0, I think, but that's, every machine is different, so you're going to have to experiment a little bit. You want to drop your feed dogs, and you want to have a good quality thread and a good quality bobbin thread. With thread painting, because you're going over the same area a lot, if your thread isn't good quality, it's going to break, you're going to get frustrated. So it's worth it. Just do a general outline stitch around the whole shape. This will help stabilize it. And you don't have to be super fussy, because you can go over it if you make a mistake. It's just thread. Don't worry about the toes. A trick with thread painting is you want to look a little bit ahead of where you're going. You don't want to look right down at the needle. But again, if you don't stay on the line, don't worry about it. You can correct it. Now, thread painting, you're just coloring with thread instead of with crayon. So you're just going to keep going back and forth until you fill in the area. You don't want to go faster than your machine, and you don't want to go slower than your machine. So you want to get your stitches are going to be really, really long because you're going faster than the machine. If you go too slow, your stitches are going to be really, really tiny because you're not keeping up with your machine and it's going faster. So you want to sort of get a smooth rhythm going. You want to relax your shoulders. If your shoulders are tense and you're tense, you're not going to be moving. You're going to be jerking. So you don't want to get yourself all tense. You want to relax and have fun. A trick when doing the fingers, you don't want to try and go up and down. It's very difficult because the fingers are so short and narrow. So kind of think of an oval. Go in like a little bit of an oval. It's easy. Travel down to the next spot. Don't worry about the hair if you go inside the hair, because you're going to be thread painting over that anyway. So don't worry about it. Now on the shoulder here, you see I have this line here. You want to think of the shape of the body as you're thread painting. So I'm going to kind of go back and forth this way to accentuate that shoulder area. Go up in between the hair. Okay, now you see I'm going to be heading down the back and you see this shape here. So I'm going to accentuate that line there. And if your machine gets clunking, don't worry about it. You're going over a lot of layers of thread. So okay, when you finish that, then you're going to go down, do your leg area, and I'm going to demo the foot area because there's a little trick to that again. On the heel of the foot and on the little ball of the foot and the toes. Don't try and go back and forth. Again, like the fingers, go in a circular motion. It'll be much easier to fill in. And then you can go kind of back and forth with the rest of the foot. So you'll just keep continuing in this manner until you have all your light sections filled in, and then you'll change your threads and go to the darker thread and you'll do the darker side. After you finish coloring in your whole area, you're going to take your darkest thread of all and you're going to outline the shape and create some shadows, like under the arm. You'll accentuate that line of the shoulder blade and of the backbone. You'll accentuate the circle of the foot and the toes. After that, then you're done with the thread painting, and follow your pattern directions for completing the kit.